From my first day at Apex Realty, tucked high in the steel jungle of downtown, I knew I was playing in the big leagues. And me, Camilla, I wasn't just some sideline player. I never was one for rushing into things, especially not marriage. But life, or rather, Eric, had other plans. Eric had just landed a job in the finance firm next door. We met by the stainless steel beast they called a coffee machine. I was trying to wrestle a decent cup of joe out of it when he sidled up beside me. "Tough battle?" he joked, eyeing the machine with a smirk. "Piece of crap should come with a manual," I shot back, giving the machine one last thump, which miraculously worked. I offered him a victorious smile as I handed him the first cup. "You try. Maybe it respects you more." He laughed, and I liked that laugh. Easy and warm, it made you want to listen. We started running into each other more, grabbing quick bites at Tony's, the diner around the corner. He was easy to talk to, didn't bore me with finance jargon. And heck, he was easy on the eyes too. "What's the deal with you living with your mom?" I asked one lunch, after the waitress had dropped off our usual 2 BLTs, extra mayo for him, no crust for me. "It's not what you think," he started, and I raised an eyebrow. "She's alone since Dad passed. I'm all she's got." "Noble," I said, but it was more of an irony. I'd seen too many guys claim to be mama's boys, only to be clinging to their apron strings without a backbone. A year flew by. Work was a blast, I was smashing targets, making a name for myself. And somewhere along the line, grabbing coffee and lunch with Eric didn't just feel routine, it felt right. One chilly October morning, he changed everything. We were at Tony's again, nursing hot coffees against the autumn chill, when he slid a small box across the table. Inside was a ring, simple, but elegant. I stared at it, then at him. "You serious?" As a heart attack, he grinned. "Marry me, Cam?" I let out a laugh. It wasn't the proposal of fairy tales, but maybe I didn't need fairy tales. "This is nuts, you know. They're betting against us at the office." "Let 'em bet," he shrugged. "We'll prove them wrong." "Bold move, Mr. Finance," I said, slipping the ring on. It was a perfect fit. "Okay, let's do this." We didn't rush into a wedding. Took our time planning something small, just close friends and family. His mom, Linda, was thrilled. She hugged me so tight I thought I'd break. "You take good care of him," she whispered in my ear during our engagement party, her tone firm, almost a warning. I nodded, unsure what to make of her words. Back at work, the news spread like wildfire. Whispers and bets increased, but so did the congratulations. That's how it all started. Just me, Eric, and a ring, stepping into a future we thought we had figured out. But as my old man used to say, when you make plans, life happens. Moving into Linda's house was our first real test as a married couple. The house was cramped, filled with memories and relics of a family I was just getting to know. From day one, Linda made it clear that this wasn't just a house, it was her domain. Our first morning together under the same roof, I stumbled into the kitchen, aiming to make breakfast as a peace offering. Linda was already there, her arms folded as she watched me fumble through the cupboards. "Looking for something?" she asked, her voice sharp like she was interrogating a suspect. "Just trying to figure out where everything is," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. "Thought I'd whip up some pancakes for us." Linda snorted. "This isn't a diner, Camilla. We have our ways. Eric likes his eggs scrambled, not whatever fancy breakfast you had in mind." I bit back a retort, scrambling the eggs instead. Eric wandered in, oblivious. "Morning, love," he smiled, kissing my cheek. "Smells good." "Thanks to your mom," I muttered, but plastered a smile on my face. "Breakfast is served." As days turned into weeks, Linda's rules became more apparent. She had a specific way of doing laundry, a particular day for ironing, and God's help me if I messed up her system. One evening, as I tried to sneak a load of my clothes into the wash, she caught me. What do you think you're doing? Linda's voice rang out from behind me, causing me to jump. Just some laundry, I said, holding up my jeans as evidence. Not like that, you don't. We wash whites on Mondays, colors on Thursdays. It's not rocket science. It's just laundry, Linda. It doesn't need a schedule. I shot back, my patience wearing thin. Her eyes narrowed. In this house, we follow rules. You'd do well to remember that. Eric's interventions were rare and unhelpful. She said in her ways, Cam, it's easier if we just do things her way, he'd say, trying to smooth things over without taking a side. It grated on me, his unwillingness to stand up to her, to stand up for us. Feeling like a stranger in my own marriage wasn't what I signed up for. I missed my apartment, my independence. I mentioned this to Eric one night as we lay in bed, the moon casting shadows across our room. Maybe we should think about getting our own place, I whispered, hopeful. Eric was silent for a moment, then turned to me, his face serious. Cam, you know we can't. Mom would be alone. She needs me. And what about what I need? I asked, frustration building. I need to feel like I'm your wife, not your mom's tenant. He sighed, pulling me close. It's just how things are. We need to make it work, that's all. Making it work seemed like a one-way street, with me doing all the driving. As I lay there, listening to Eric's steady breathing, I realized that marrying him meant marrying his traditions, his mother's house rules, and whatever else came with the package. I just wasn't sure I was ready to pay that price. Just when I thought I'd gotten a handle on Linda's house rules, our already crowded nest got even more cramped. It was a Thursday evening, the one day I managed to slip away from work early, dreaming of a quiet night in. That dream shattered the moment I opened the door and stumbled into chaos. There, in the middle of what used to be a reasonably tidy living room, was Jenny, Eric's sister, her bags dumped on the floor like she owned the place, and a screaming toddler attached to her hip. What the, Jenny? What are you doing here? I asked, bewildered and not hiding my annoyance well. Before Jenny could answer, Linda came bustling in, all flustered but with a kind of grim determination in her eyes. Camilla, good, you're here. Jenny's husband has thrown her out. She's got nowhere else to go. We're family, we take care of our own. Great, just great. As if on cue, the toddler started crying again, or maybe he'd never stopped. It was hard to tell over the ringing in my ears from the news. The following weeks were a blur of stress and strained patience. Jenny did little around the house, claiming exhaustion or needing to sort out her life, which apparently involved a lot of phone calls in her room and zero time looking after Liam or helping out. One afternoon, I came home to find the living room a disaster zone, Liam's toys scattered everywhere, dishes piled up in the sink. I lost it. Jenny, we need to talk, I said as I stepped over a toy truck to get to where she was lounging on the sofa, scrolling through her phone. You need to help out around here. It's chaos. Jenny rolled her eyes. Oh, please. You're home all day, what's the big deal? I have things on my mind. I work all day, Jenny. This isn't a daycare, and I'm not your maid. My voice was rising, and I didn't care who heard it. That got her attention. You need to chill, Camilla. You're not the queen of this house. Mom, she yelled, summoning Linda like I was the problem here. Linda came in, her expression stern. What's all this noise about? Tell her I'm not here to clean up after everyone. I said, feeling outnumbered but too angry to back down. Linda looked between us, then sighed. Camilla, Jenny's going through a tough time. We need to be understanding. Why don't you make dinner tonight, give her a break? Eric walked in then, catching the tail end of the argument. What's going on here? Tell your mother and your sister that I'm not their servant. This isn't working, I said, frustration boiling over. Eric looked from me to his mother and sister, clearly torn. Let's all calm down. We can figure this out. That night, as I lay in bed, the sounds of the city far below us, I wondered how long I could live like this. Something had to change, and soon. I couldn't be the only adult in a house full of grown-ups acting like kids. One particularly tense evening, while I was late from work, tired and not in the mood for another of Linda's lectures, she started in on me the moment I walked through the door. "You're late again, Camilla. Dinner should have been ready an hour ago," Linda snapped, her arms crossed as she stood in the kitchen, an arena she ruled like a tyrant. "I had clients, Linda. You know, my job?" I replied, keeping my voice as calm as I could manage, though inside I was boiling. "I'm doing my best, Linda. It's not like I'm sitting around doing nothing." Before the argument could escalate further, Eric's mother proposed a solution that she'd obviously been mulling over. "Why don't we get some help around here? My friend's daughter, Nina, she's looking to earn some extra money. We could use an au pair." I paused, surprised by the suggestion, but also relieved. That actually sounds like a good idea. I could use the help. Linda's eyes narrowed slightly, as if she hadn't expected me to agree so quickly. "Good, then it's settled. You'll pay for her, of course." I nodded, desperate for any relief. "Fine, if it means less arguing, I'm in." Nina started the following week. She was young, pretty, and surprisingly efficient. The house never looked better, and for a brief, blissful period, Linda had fewer reasons to complain. However, it wasn't long before a new problem arose. I began to notice how chummy Nina was getting with Eric. They laughed a lot, shared inside jokes, and sometimes, I caught them in whispered conversations that would stop abruptly when I walked into the room. One evening, after a long and draining day, I decided to address it. Eric was in the living room, casually flipping through the channels when I sat down next to him. "Eric, can we talk about Nina?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. He looked at me, his eyebrows raised in surprise. "Nina? What about her?" "I don't know, it's probably nothing, but you two seem really close," I said, watching his reaction closely. Eric chuckled, shaking his head. "Come on, Cam, you're not the jealous type. Nina's just a kid from next door. I've known her family forever." However, the uneasy feeling didn't go away, and soon, I had more pressing concerns. My jewelry began to disappear. First, a pair of earrings, then a bracelet. At first, I thought I was being forgetful, but when my grandmother's locket went missing, I knew something was off. I installed a hidden camera in our bedroom, telling myself it was just to ease my mind. But what I found shattered any illusions of security. One rainy evening, I sat alone in a cafe, dreading the thought of going home. I pulled out my phone and accessed the camera footage. The video showed Jenny sneaking into our room, her hands rifling through my jewelry box. Then, to my horror, it cut to a scene of Eric and Nina, far too close, right on our bed. I sat there, the noise of the cafe fading into a buzz as shock gave way to a cold, calculated anger. I wanted to storm home, throw everyone out, but I forced myself to think strategically. Revenge, as they say, is a dish best served cold. At first, I wanted to see if they were aware of each other's meanness. It all became clear when I overheard Jenny, the supposed cash-strapped sister-in-law, bragging about her new smartphone. "Got it on sale," she claimed, winking at Eric, who didn't even bat an eye. Did he really not question where she got the money? Even worse, I caught snippets of a conversation between Linda and Nina, our too friendly housekeeper. "You'd make a much better wife for him," Linda had whispered one afternoon, thinking I was out for a walk. The betrayal stung, but it fueled my resolve instead of breaking me. I meticulously collected every piece of evidence, keeping a close eye on the household's every move through the hidden camera footage. And amidst all this, I kept engaging Linda about her dream of moving into a bigger, better house. "Imagine all the space," I'd say, watching her eyes light up. One night, while everyone was gathered in the living room, I accidentally left my laptop open on a real estate listing. The page displayed a beautiful house, recently renovated, sitting on a generous plot of land, all listed at a price too good to be true. Eric, who was passing by, stopped dead in his tracks. "What's this?" he asked, his interest piqued as he leaned over to get a better look. "Oh, just some fantasy browsing." I shrugged nonchalantly, moving to close the laptop. "Wait, let me see that," he exclaimed, stopping my hand. His eyes scanned the details, growing wider with every second. "This is perfect. Look at the price, Cam. It's a steal." Linda rushed over, drawn by Eric's excitement. Her reaction was everything I hoped for. "Oh, my stars. This is the house I've dreamed of. Eric, call them. Now." I feigned hesitation. "I don't know, it might be too soon to jump on it. These deals, they tend to be too good to be true. No way we're missing out on this," Eric argued, his voice rising in excitement. "Someone else will snap it up by tomorrow." Without a second thought, he grabbed the phone and dialed the number listed. I watched, a small smile playing on my lips, as he eagerly spoke to the seller, securing the house with a deposit, all the while refusing any expert checks. "No need, we'll take it as is," he declared triumphantly. Linda clapped her hands, already lost in plans for decorating every corner of her new empire. Jenny just smirked at me, probably thinking I was just as clueless as they thought I was. "And who will be the owner of this house?" I asked innocently, my tone light. "Me, of course," Eric responded without missing a beat. "And you'll help with the payments, right?" "Of course," I nodded, my smile hiding the storm inside. As they celebrated, I excused myself, stepping outside under the pretense of needing fresh air. The cool night breeze was a minor relief against the burning anger and betrayal. But it also felt like a clean slate. Soon, they'd move into their dream house, and the real nightmare would begin. The evening was set up as a celebration, but for me, it was the curtain call of my act in this twisted family drama. The papers were signed, the initial payment made, and now, all that was left was the farewell. Eric had orchestrated a dinner at his mother's house, a grand affair with champagne and too many fake smiles. Even Nina, the au pair and his not-so-secret fling, was there, grinning like she'd won the lottery. As Eric popped the champagne, the bubbly sound matched the fakeness of the cheers around the table. I stood, glass in hand, and decided to play along with one last performance. "Here's to the new house, where my husband and I will be so happy together," I toasted, my voice dripping with sarcasm that flew right over their heads. The table erupted in snickers and snide remarks, and Eric, ever the showman, shot me a look of triumph. "Well, about that," he started, the smirk on his face widening. "Mom, Jenny, and I will be moving into the new house. And Camilla, I've terminated our lease here." The room went still for a moment. My heart didn't even skip a beat. I had expected something dramatic. Why wasn't I consulted? I asked, feigning surprise. Linda, overflowing with malice, let out a harsh laugh. "Oh, dear, no one cares for your opinion here." The sting was meant to hurt, but I was beyond that now. Eric slid a stack of papers across the table to me, divorce papers. "Nina is more suited to my needs, youthful, vibrant," Eric said, as if he were explaining a simple fact like the weather. "You can leave now." I looked at the papers, then back up at him, my expression unreadable. Without a word, I signed each page, my pen firm and my resolve even firmer. I was signing away a terrible chapter of my life, and with each stroke, I felt lighter. Gathering my things, I walked out of the house. Their laughter followed me, harsh and mocking, but it was music to my ears. They thought they had stripped me of everything. Little did they know, they had just set me free. I had rented an apartment the day before, a small place but mine and mine alone. As I closed the door behind me, the silence was a balm to the chaos I had lived in. I stretched out on the bed, a smile creeping across my face. It was exactly a week after I moved into my new sanctuary that my phone buzzed with news that would make anyone's day, well, anyone who'd been through what I had. It was my friend Mia, who lived next door to what was now infamously known as the house from hell. "Cam, you won't believe what's happening over here," Mia's voice was a mix of disbelief and barely suppressed laughter. They've all moved in, and it's a disaster. The whole place reeks of sewage. They had a locksmith and a plumber over, and guess what? The whole drainage system is busted. Needs a complete redo. Sewage is literally flowing into the street. The neighbors are furious. I pressed my hand to my mouth to stifle my chuckle. You're kidding. Nope, and Eric's broke. He can't afford the repairs. There's talk of a lawsuit from the neighbors. The news was too good, well, not for them, but for Karma's ledger. It was balancing nicely. As Mia filled me in with more details, I felt a weight lift off me that I didn't even know I was carrying. The chaos didn't stop at sewage problems. Armed with video evidence from the hidden cameras, I took legal steps. I filed for divorce, citing Eric's infidelity, and slapped a lawsuit for financial compensation on him. I also went to the police to file a theft report against Jenny, again supported by clear footage of her pilfering through my things. Word got back to Linda, who, in a fit of rage, stormed my workplace a few days later. "You're ruining our lives," she screeched as she was barred entry by security at my office. "Ma'am, you need to leave now," the security guard said firmly, stepping between us. The guards escorted her out, and I turned back to my colleagues, expecting whispers and judgment. Instead, I found nods of support and even some expressions of respect. "You did what you had to do, Cam," one of them said, and I knew then that I hadn't just survived, I had won. In the aftermath, Eric was ordered to pay me a substantial sum in compensation. His sister Jenny received a conditional sentence for theft, and all the stolen items were returned to me. Adding insult to injury for them, Eric quit his job. He couldn't face the whispers and the snickers, the not-so-subtle nose-holding gestures people made when he passed by in the hallways. For me, it was the end of an era of enduring his presence daily. I still hear about them every now and then, through Mia or the grapevine of mutual acquaintances. The house is falling apart, the bills are piling up, and their little fortress of secrets and lies has crumbled. As for me, I built something new on the ruins of what was, something solid, something true. 2 months had passed in my new slice of solitude, a small but chic apartment in the city center. The real estate deal had been a breeze, almost as if the universe was making up for all the nonsense I'd endured. Just as I was wrapping up a late breakfast on a lazy Saturday, my phone rang. The screen flashed Linda's name, and my heart sank for a split second before curiosity took over. "Camilla, listen, we need your help," she blurted out, desperation clear in her voice. It was strange hearing her like this, humble, almost broken. "Oh? What happened now?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "It's this house. It's a disaster. The smell is unbearable, and we can't even use the sewer. Eric's sunk in debt because of all this, Nina dumped him. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't bad, but you know real estate. We need to get out of this mess." Her plea might have tugged at my heartstrings once, but those days were long gone. "Linda, Eric chose not to have the house evaluated by professionals. He made his bed. But we can't live like this. It's unhealthy, and with Jenny gone..." She stopped, her voice cracking. "Gone? Where did she go?" I asked, genuinely surprised. "She left, ran off with some man, left her kid with us. It's all falling apart," Linda stammered, the sound of her grandchild crying in the background punctuating her distress. Despite everything, I felt a twinge of pity for the child, but not for the adults who'd made their choices clear and cruel. "Linda, what you're dealing with is the result of your own actions and decisions. You all decided what was more important when you chose Eric's happiness over decency and respect. I am sorry for the little one, but as for the rest of you, you're just reaping what you've sown. So, you won't help?" Her voice was a mix of anger and disappointment. "I'm not the solution to your problems, Linda. And frankly, wishing you happiness in that house seems like the most I can offer now." Linda's call was a stark reminder of the life I had escaped. I had no regrets, only lessons learned and a newfound appreciation for my own resilience. I was back to doing what I did best, helping others find their dream homes while carefully steering clear of nightmares like the one I had lived through. My colleagues respected me more, and my clients trusted my judgment, knowing that I had not only the professional expertise but personal experience in dealing with real estate pitfalls. My phone rang again, this time a client confirming a viewing. "Yes, I'll be there at 3, I confirmed, my tone professional and competent. Hanging up, I allowed myself a small, satisfied smile.